Three, two, one. Hello everybody and welcome to a Fleche Wallonne preview. My name is Jesper Anker, I'm joined by David Hunter and today's special guest. Usually when today's special guest is behind the microphone, he's the host, but today he's our guest. Please welcome Rheinallt and Gwynedd. Close enough.
Give you an 8.5 for that, Jesper.
Out of 8.5, I'll take it.
Thanks for learning. You know what I mean? Most people don't even bother.
You're actually our first cyclist commentator on the show. We have journalists on before, but usually the guy behind the microphone. How's that?
It feels special.
So you get to talk to the entire nation for like, what, 5 hours?
Well, I get to talk to the entire world for 45 minutes. I mean, you know what I mean? I like those onions.
I like that. La Fleche Wallonne. It's the Moody Wee. Only took me 3 tries to pronounce it right. I did it wrong in La Fleche last year in the Tour de France, and now we're in La Fleche this year. Moody Wee. It's a great climb. David, talk me through what happened last year.
Well, last year we changed the route and introduced the Côte de Chirave, which is 1.3 kilometres, 8.1%, coming just about 4k before Mur de Huy, and that really had a huge impact on the race. It seemed to blow everybody's legs out. Whole peloton seemed really tired coming up Mur de Huy. Wellens, as per usual, went on the long range attack. I've heard a few stories about Tim Wellens, I might tell you later. He went on a long range attack, was caught on the low slopes of Mur de Huy. His long range attacks never seemed to work. And with the bizarre situation of Valverde riding from the front, head over the shoulder, and he just rode all the way up and took the win. It was a bit bizarre. I don't think I've ever seen that before in Fleche. A new tactic from Valverde, but he clearly was stronger than everybody else. And we might get a repeat this season.
So, usually the Ardennes are all about the finishing climb. Is it also this or that in La Fleche? Reg?
Absolutely, yeah. It's totally all about the Mur de Huy, isn't it? I mean, the poor guys, they've tried to mix it up so many times over the years. I think the last time there was a solo win was it Igor Astaloa or something in 2003? And ever since then, I think every single year there's been some kind of parkour change, but it doesn't make any difference. Somebody always wins on the Mur de Huy.
It's got to be said, though, that climb is brutal. I mean, just looking at it, I've walked up it last year. That climb is amazing. I couldn't imagine riding up it on the bike. I would just go backwards. And so David, everybody should watch Amstel Gold Race, and they're going to say, you know what, it's going to come down to a sprint again, Matthews is going to win it, but try and compare Kouwberg to Mur de Huy.
No comparison. Mur de Huy, you're talking 9.6%, 20% in parts, which means a sprinter like Matthews does not stand a chance. This is one for your punchy climbers, your Valverdes, your Dan Martins, Sergio Henao, that type of rider. It's just way too steep for any sprinter. Even a rider like Sagan, who's been here before, no chance of winning on this final climb.
How about the weather? Right now, we've seen we're in Belgium, usually it rains. What's it going to be on Wednesday?
Do you know, I feel really unprofessional now. That's probably the one thing I haven't looked up.
That is the one question we always ask our guests, and we can thank Edward Turns from that. He's made that a tradition.
Right, I'll put it this way. I hope it rains.
It won't. See, that's what I've been saying every preview since Omloop at Newsblad, and it hasn't been raining since then. We saw a bit of it in Amstel Gold Race, but still missing the big pouring down race. And we're probably not going to see that for quite a while. The Giro starts pretty soon. We get to see it there. Let's start this, David. Last 5 times we went up the Moody Week, counting the Tour stage 3. It's been a Spaniard, that's 1. Let's start with Movistar. What are the chances of Valverde making it 3 in a row?
It's big, very, very big. He skipped Amstel, which was really surprising considering he probably would have guaranteed himself another podium spot. Raced in Vuelta a Castilla León instead, won that quite convincingly, took a couple of stage wins, took the overall, arrives here with a very strong squad, and we get to see Carlos Betancourt himself, stage winner over in Leon too. Valverde is amazing on this, although in the Tour he didn't do particularly well. He was poorly positioned, so it isn't all over for the other riders. They do have a chance against Valverde, but he is looking like Valverde.
How about the lead-out train? Because usually, when we see, you're used to seeing Katusha go with Caruso, Moreno, and then Rodriguez. Could Movistar pull something like this out?
Possibly. They've got Moreno, they've got Visconti, they've got Izagirre, they've got Betancourt. They have very, very talented climbers. Moreno knows this route very, very well. They'll position Valverde correctly, and then it'll be all up to see if he has the legs. They have the riders to chase down any late break on the penultimate climb. So they look strong. Valverde looks in very good conditions. He has to start the race as the overwhelming favourite.
See, Rheinallt, the question that everybody wants me to ask is, what's the chances of Carlos Betancourt going on to win this race?
I would probably say 0. I mean, he's been. I mean, I kind of made a gag on Twitter a couple of days ago. I kind of tweeted this GIF of a dog kind of responding madly to a cake, and I kind of said that somebody'd kind of piped the result to Betancourt's race on the side. But I'm really happy for him. I'm really happy that he's been in the wilderness for quite a long time, and he wins that stage. It's great, but you can see his form isn't quite there. Obviously he lost the GC, so baby steps. I'm just happy that he's kind of back in the game.
Let's hope his form goes upwards from here, not downwards.
There's a joke doing the rounds in Spain just now, because he chased down Pello Bilbao the day he went in the break. The joke is, over race radio, he heard that Polo was in the break, and of course Polo refers to chicken. So that's the only reason he got in the break that day, was to chase down a chicken.
Etixx-QuickStep, let's move on to them, Rheinallt. Peter Vakoc, the big name of Gibraltar de Pierre, and Alaphilippe did well at Amstel Gold Race, and now they're bringing Daniel Martin. How do they play this race?
I mean, they've got options, haven't they, really? But I think, or I hope that they probably sort of back Dan Martin. He's changed team. He's got a new lease of life. He's got a team, I think, that he can depend on, maybe. I mean, it goes back to what I see quite often, David saying, Cannondale, what are they about? I'm kind of in that camp as well. But, he's had 2 wins already, 2 uphill climbs. The second one, being the Catalunya one, was really impressive against the great and the good. You know what I mean? He might as well have been a stage in the Tour de France with, who he was riding against. Vasco, he got progressively worse and pulled out. He said that he was tired after Catalunya. Who am I to doubt his words? But I think he's gunning for glory. I think he's got a good chance of winning. Julian Alaphilippe, after a stellar 2015, what an amazing Ardennes campaign he had last year. Of course, he got what I would call glandular fever, but in cycling it's called mononucleosis. That's the technical term, I suppose. So, he's a really terrible start of the season, failed to finish his first 4 races. But my God, talk about coming into form just at the right time. Brabant's 8th, after pulling for Vakoc on the last climb, 6th in Amstel. So I think, if I was DS in Etixx, I'd be pretty excited about the race on Wednesday.
Even Bob Jungels, David, had a go at Amstel Gold Race. 4 guys potentially. Usually Etixx always has multiple guys in these races. Which one would you go for?
It's all about Dan Martin. This, all through the winter, this is what he was focused on, this race in Liège-Bastogne-Liège. I know he took a couple of stage wins already this season, but it's all been about the next couple of days. In the winter, very interesting fact, in his training throughout the winter, he didn't do any climbs longer than 5 kilometres, which for a cyclist is fairly amazing, because he is purely focused on the short, steep stuff. So he only trained over the winter for this type of scenario, this type of race. Vasco's slight concern in that he seemed to probably pick up an illness, or maybe was a little bit tired. But for me, Etixx should all be in for Dan Martin for this race. He has a wonderful chance of beating Valverde.
See, again, it's the Van Marke syndrome as long as nothing happens to him. Wishing all the best of luck to Dan Martin.
Now I would mention earlier on in the season, he was interviewed and he mentioned crashes, and it was a less than veiled comment about his final team, saying that a lot of it was to do with positioning, and he was expecting Etixx, which is a well-drilled team to say the least, to put him in the right places at the right time. So hopefully we won't see Dan Martin on his bum in the Ardennes.
Well, flashback to Liège-Bastogne-Liège in prime position, takes a corner, skids out. Can't blame Kennedy on that one.
No, that was his fault.
So, Team Katusha, Joaquim Rodriguez hit the ground in Amstel Gold Race, DNF'd. Usually, he'd be a big favorite here alongside Alejandro Valverde. How bad was that crash?
Do you know what? It looked too bad. He seemed to be just down on his bum. There wasn't much blood or anything. He got back in the race, but Amstel's never been a good race for Rodriguez. He DNFs almost every single year. He crashes almost every single year as well. So that crash was kind of standard. He arrives here. I've been closely watching him throughout the start of the season. His form was very poor. He picked up illness before Tirreno, and then he slowly got it together through Catalunya and then into Pays Vasco, and was certainly just about to hit top form towards the end of Pays Vasco. So he's shown the right signs in terms of the way his form is going. Last season he was in the right place. He had Moreno in front of him. He just didn't have the kick of old that we've seen before. Rodriguez arguably has the fastest kick out of all these riders on that kind of 20% ramp. I'm just not sure. He's getting on a bit. You know, he's what, 36 or something now. You know, so I suppose Valverde's quite old too. But for me, Rodriguez just seems to lack that little bit, and the crash would maybe put me off him a touch.
See, the issue with Rodriguez is that he doesn't have his usual lieutenants here to help him. So if somebody goes early on Mordiwi, does he have to cover from the get-go and then somebody else will go counter that? What do you think, Rheinallt?
Do you know what? That crash really kind of worried me, because, you know, he got back up, he carried on, but he actually pulled out, didn't he? So, you know, the important thing about a climb like Mordiwi is you need all your smarts. And I'm just worried, kind of adding to David's point, he's not getting any younger. You don't bounce back that well from crashes kind of the older you get. So I'm kind of worried that that crash just may have taken the zip out of his sprint. So maybe because of that, he will go early just to make sure that nobody goes over the top.
We'll see what the judgment is when we get to the star section. Orica-GreenEdge. I mean, they messed it up at Amstel Gold Race. I mean, they've been doing this. Last year, we praised them all out through the season, saying when Orica gets to the front, they're going to win and they're going to do well. David, what happened at Amstel?
Matt White needs to grow a pair of balls. That's what happened. He's got two very strong riders, and they don't tell them who the ultimate team leader is. They go in with a joint team leader, and what happens is you have Guerin sitting in the bunch, and he refuses to work for Matthews. Now, I spoke to a number of riders after the race. I have it on very good authority. The issue is still the same as what it was tail end of last season, in that Matthews, quote, is a selfish cunt, and Guerin's, quote, is very pissed off. So that's the situation we're in with Orica just now. Basically, they don't talk to each other at all. Relationship totally broken down. They're not speaking to each other. The team director, Matt White, who was this time, decided that they would both be team leaders and neither would have to work for each other, which ultimately meant that neither of them managed to finish on the podium, which was a huge mistake. It's the only race they were racing in before the Tour de France. I would not take them both to the Tour de France. No way. He just needs to grow up here and decide who the man's going to be. Now, Matthews is out of contract. Guerin's is out of contract. The big rumour is that Matthews is going to go to Team Sky, and everybody thought that Guerin's would probably stay on. However, I do hear some stories that Guerin's is also on his way out of
So
Orica-GreenEdge.
you're losing both your top riders because you can't choose one of them?
I think Matthews will lose him because he'll get a bigger salary somewhere else. Orica are not the biggest paying team out there. again, I can tell you that when Churica left Caja Rural, Orica offered them the same salary. So they're not like a big, huge paying team. Matthews is an amazing rider. He will get the call from Sky, Etixx, one of the biggest squads in the world, and he'll get the salary probably he's deserving. Gerrans is a surprise. I thought they would have held on to him, but Orica can be brutal, and Gerrans is getting a little bit older, and maybe all this nonsense that's happening with Matthews has convinced them that they'll let him go as well.
So Matthews and Gerrans aside, we do have Michael Albacini here at this race, and there are two races he actually goes really strong at, which is La Fleche Wallonne and Liège-Bastogne-Liège. Can he go well this year, right now?
Yes, or at least I hope he will, because of course this is his time of year. This race is always good. Romandy, you know what I mean? He won 2 stages last year, 2 stages the year before. He seemed to be pulling quite hard for Orica. More fool him in Amstel. I think his record in Fleche Wallonne is absolutely insane. His consistency is mad. The last 8 races, he's come top 10 in 6 of them, including, was it 3rd last year? Third? Yeah. So, and he again is another rider that's not getting any younger. So I think they're obviously going to be behind him 100%.
Is he stronger than Valverde and Rodriguez in the end? Matt and Martin, for that sake?
He's got the consistency that the others seem to lack. Well, apart from Valverde, the others seem to lack. I watched him very closely in the Basque Country. He is another rider who seems to be riding himself into some form. He tested himself really well on the final mountain stage in Eibar. He was actually really high. I think he was in the top kind of 15, 20 riders, which was surprising considering he's not a kind of light climber. Watched him in the time trial. He seemed to test himself out on the uphill, but then a certain teammate of his blew him away on the uphill section of that time trial, and that was Adam Yates. I know they're going to go in with Albacini as the team leader, and we don't have the same problem dynamic with Gerrans and Matthews, but Adam Yates, this is the type of race that Adam Yates will go on to, I think, win in the future. And I think in Adam Yates, they have an excellent card to play on the lower slopes of the Muir. I think they attacked with Yates quite a couple of years ago. Bettencourt did something similar, and he actually hung on for, I think, 3rd. You can go early and put the other riders under pressure, especially a Valverde. When there is so much pressure on Valverde, sometimes he becomes ultra defensive and does not ride and doesn't chase anything down. So if I was Orica, I would get both of them protected, and I would let Adam Yates go early on the Mur de Vie, and then let Albacini go as long as he can on that final climb.
On that note, let's move on to the next team. Team Sky. Sergio Henao for many is an outside pick to actually beat these older riders, more consistent riders, and he showed earlier this season that he's really, really fast. My latest memory is Miguel Indurain, where he finished, I think it was 2nd. Really, really strong. Talk me through Team Sky's chances, Rheinallt.
Well, Henao, this is a perfect finish for him, really. He's a kind of a Rodriguez-y type rider when it comes to hills. He's very explosive, he's very punchy. He was 7th in 2015, 2nd in 13? Yes, I think so. He's had a solid start of the season, doing well in Tour Down Under, 2nd in Wollonga Hill, 2nd in Miguel Indurain, which is obviously closer to now. Pays Vasco, 3rd in stage 2. So, he's playing the right tune. And I wouldn't be surprised if I see him actually being on the top step of the podium this year. I mean, they've got a really good team. Paul Zazandio, we've got the climbers, the Kenya British champion who can do just about everything. He's had a good start to the season. Then you got Golash and Nordhau, good engines. You always need a good engine in a race like this. So depending on which way they want to do it, if they want to pull or not, I think Henao has a really, really good chance this year.
So all the results that you listed, the one thing they have in common is a steep uphill finish. And that's this race. Mur de Vie is very steep and it's very uphill, David. Sergio Henao, what's his chances like?
Strong, but I said the same last season and he disappointed last season. He came off a really strong Basque Country. where of eye, just went on to disappoint in the Muir. This season, he is the rider who can go the fastest on the really steep stuff. So he went away from Contador and Quintana and Rodriguez in the Basque Country on the 20% slopes up into Eye. Weirdly enough, I think he would actually like this climb to be harder than it is. If it was 1.3 kilometres at 15%, I think he would win. I think it does allow a rider like Valverde to beat him. He just needs it to be a little harder, and I'm still not convinced that he has winner stamped on his head. He seems to have too many second places for me.
See, second place is still good enough, though. Just look at Ben Swift. How many second place and third place has he gotten this season? And he's still considered a good sprinter, or at least now he is. He's up here. Phil Gill. Oliver Nason and I both said he was going to go on to win Amstel Gold Race. Boy, we were wrong. He does not look like he recovered from injury. Is it like in that short amount of time from Amstel Gold Race to La Fleche Wallonne, can he recover fully, Rheinallt?
Back to Amstel. I can't believe anybody backed him for Amstel. I mean, considering it's in Holland, bad weather, nervous peloton, road furniture, 34 climbs means 34 descents. You can't do that with one break. You know what I mean? And once the race started to hot up, he was out the back. And I think that, the peloton come Wednesday, and remembering that the final circuit in Fleche is really nervous as well. Those kind of windy descents, and there's always crashes. I can see the peloton really giving it some beans just in order to do the same thing to him. And I can't imagine him getting any better after like 2 broken fingers by Wednesday. So good luck to him, but I don't think he's going to be winning.
Hey, to aid Oliver Nasons in my defense, he is the fastest up the Kalberg. Last 3 fastest speeds. Phil Gill, he's won it like 4 times. For somebody to be mad to bet on Phil Gill up the Kalberg, come on, I felt that one. David, Phil Gill, no chance, 0%?
No chance.
I felt that.
Even a fit Gilbert would really struggle now. His time of winning up Mur de Huy is gone. BMC have stronger options in their team and, look to youth. I know they've got Sammy Sanchez, very experienced rider who was excellent in Pays Basque, took a stage win. But, they've got the 2 young kids. They've got Dylan Teuns and they've got Loic Vlegen, both of whom have been incredibly impressive in Brabants and in Amstel. Teuns was 13th here last season on debut in his neo-pro year. People have heard me talk about him before in this show. Outstanding talent from Belgium. I was really impressed with him on Sunday. He looked super strong at the front of the peloton. He got through a power of work. Vlegen too. BMC have a couple of options, but they have to look towards the younger riders and just cut them loose. Let's see what they can do. If Teuns managed to do 13th last season, I'm hoping he can go top 10 this year.
Enrico Gasparotto. How about that, David? How about that? Did he win? Remember that comment from
Did he win? I can't remember. I blanked out at one point.
What a victory, actually. Even though Valgren was there, who's a Dane, I was cheering for Enrico Gasparotto up that entire finish. That was amazing to watch. What's the chance of him getting back-to-back victories, David?
0.
So many people are going to wish that he can actually do it because they saw what he did up the Kalberg and think it's going to be the same this time.
He I know I said he did no chance. It was an amazing ride. It was fantastic. He timed it perfectly. He used all of his experience. He got Valgren to work, even though Gasparotto is a faster sprinter. He played it perfectly. It was a brilliant win. He devoted it to his late teammate, which was wonderful. Fantastic for the team. Monte, let's be honest, they're a very, very small outfit. And for them to take Amstel Gold is huge. Gasparotto clearly has form. He will be backing himself to do really well in this race, and only an idiot would say that he has no chance.
Valgren actually came out to say that he was riding for second place near the end because he'd rather be second and then lose first place than be like 15th and lose first place still. So I understand that. He's still got many chances left of winning Amstel Gold Race, so good luck next year. In the end, before we move on to the star section, you both get to pick one name that you mentioned. Rheinallt, you can go first.
For what reason? For the win or just out of interest? What's the name for?
You know what? You get to choose. We have our own rules here at Cycling.tv.
Right. Even though it's been mentioned, I'm really excited about Dylan Teuns. I really am. You know, he stepped up to the plate. Gilbert crashed really, really late on, and it was just like, right, now it's you. And he still had, you know, the maturity to be able to do a good finish. And he was only, I don't know, 10 seconds behind the win anyway. So, and with the problems this year with Gilbert, I think they will have had a word this time and said, right, be careful. And I think he'll probably be protected or semi-protected even. I don't know. But I'm hoping to see him at the pointy end of this year's race again.
David, you're rider of interest.
One for my Argentinian friends out there, Danny Diaz, the Tour de San Luis god that he is, riding for Delco Marseille Provence KTM, just rolls off the tongue. Moved over this year to Europe for a second chance after not doing too well at the start of his career. He has been attacking in races, the smaller races that he's been doing. It will be a huge honour for him to start. And hopefully he makes it all the way to the Muir and gives it his best shot up the hill. Delighted to see him racing and wish him well for the race.
My right of mentioning, Chris Sørensen. Keep an eye out for him. He's going to be rocking that Danish national kick. He's actually been talking up his chances of going hard in this. I doubt it, but you know what? I will cry my eyes out if he actually managed to get top 10 in this race. The star section. Rheinallt, you get to go first.
Goodness me, do I even remember my stars?
See, that seems to be the theme every time we do this.
No.
You guys write your stars and just throw them away afterwards, say, I'm not going to need this for later?
I've got them here somewhere.
I can't remind you if you need the help.
You can't remind me.
I can.
Oh, you can?
Yeah.
Yes, I know that Dylan Teuns is definitely, I found them. So I'll start with Dylan Teuns. Dylan Teuns, Wilco Kelderman, and Tom Jelte-Slachter.
First of all, guys, I actually misread because you did tell me to put in Kelderman over Moreno, but I totally skipped that tweet or message. So that's on me, actually. Sorry very much. Wilco Kelderman. Why? A name we haven't mentioned yet.
Did well last year. He's a really good young climber. He seems to be in good form this year. He finished in a bunch in Amstel. I just think he'll develop into a really, really, really good rider. He did well coming second to, who was it? Sky Dude.
In what race?
It was Pays Vasco.
Can't even remember.
You know, the big climb.
In Pays Vasco. It's such a long time ago. We previewed so many races.
Doesn't
I mean,
matter.
there's only so much room up here. It's like storage.
Essentially, I see big things for him in the future. So I don't see him winning, hence the 1 star. But I hope he'll do well again.
Talking about Landa?
Yes,
That just came up. Mikel Landa.
Mikel Landa, with Hinau in third.
That was actually a good stage. Thank you.
Stage 2.
David, you're 1-star riders.
I want to stuff things up a bit. Let's go for Arnaud Jonasson of Cofidis as a 1-star rider. Really stepped up to the plate this season, enjoying team leadership status, was going really well in Pays Vasco until the cold, rainy Queen stage. Can cope with the steep stuff, doesn't have a hope of winning, probably doesn't have a hope of podium, but I'll go for Jonasson. I like what I see from him this season. I will have Adam Yates in there, and I'm also going to go for a bit of experience in Peter Wiening.
See,
Ooh.
if you watch the backstage pass, I get a lot of information from that. He said that he was going to attack. Everybody knew where he was going to attack in Amstel Gold Race, but he didn't do it. There was a certain tree that marks on the Bimmelberg, I think his name, or something like that. But if you attack there, you have a good chance of getting away, but no attack. Peter Wheating seems to be informed, though. Talk about the choice.
Yeah, and another who's, just loving the fact he's team leader. He's got freedom after seems like a lifetime of riding in support of other people. It would have to be a certain scenario for Wheeling to go and do something. I hope to see him attack on Sharav. I hope he doesn't wait to the end. But, my 3 one-star riders are all real kind of outside shots, but I hope to see them giving it a go.
So your last one-star rider was Floris de Tier? Tier? Can't even pronounce that. Remember where he finished last 2 races?
He was 12th, was he, in Brabants, and he was
15th, I think it was.
50. Yeah, I like to throw these names out for people to look at and then go, oh, check him. Moritz Lammertink, I think I mentioned him before as well. Another who did really well in Amstel. What can you say? I've got my crystal ball working well.
We don't have that crystal ball. We can't afford that. So I've got Roman Kreuziger, a name we haven't mentioned yet. So attack him. If there's a guy that has to go early, it'd be Roman Kreuziger. Pais Vasco, he was a strong rider going early every time. He tried. He was the only one that really tried at the Amstel Gold Race. And if there's a guy to succeed here at La Fleche Wallonne, it had to be Roman Kreuziger. Late winners, though, Daniel Moreno, won before. If something happens to Alejandro Valverde, Moreno's going to be his lieutenant, stepping up. Tom Yildiz-Slachter. I don't really see a scenario where he wins, where there's it's so tough. He's got to be on this one-star list because he'll finish top 10. But it's so difficult for Tom Yildiz-Slachter to get to the finish line, then outsprint Valverde, Rodriguez, and so on. But my one-star riders will finish top 10.
I tell you, that's the only reason Slachter is in my list, is because the list would look pretty weird without Tom Yildiz-Slachter kind of there in the one-star list. You know what I mean? It's just, it would look odd without him. So
I've actually changed his nationality to Italian on my star list. I'm very sorry, guys. It's not my A game today. 2-star riders, Rheinallt.
Right. Danny Moreno, yeah. Michael Albacini and Julian Alaphilippe.
Talk me through one of them. Pick one, talk why.
I'll say, right, Alaphilippe, considering the horror he's been through since last season, I'm just so glad that he's coming back into form just at the right time. And it would just be wonderful if he could just go one step better, because he's got the form. Just let's see if he's got the punch.
Interesting to see. Give it, riders.
Albacini, hoping to correct the horrendous Orica-GreenEdge performance from Sunday. Tim Vellens, for the crazy attack that just one day might actually work. I'm told he's a bit of a selfish boy, Mr. Vellens. And Jelle Van den Dert.
He was actually up there in Amstel Gold Race.
Van den Dert is showing form of his best days. You only ever see him at the front of the peloton when he has good legs. Brabants, he was at the front all day long, covering attacks. He was at the front in Amstel. He even tried to chase down the break, didn't manage to do it in the end in the last kilometre or two. But Van den Dert has shown really, really good form. He will be Lotto's main card. He is the best on the steep stuff. He is a consistent performer here. I really hope he goes well.
I think we all want that Tim Vellens story. I think there's no going back now. You teased everybody.
Oh no, that's enough. There you go. We'll save it for another day.
We'll save it for the day Tim Vellens is on the show. Then we'll ask him, guys.
Yeah, are you selfish?
What an opening line. We just, we do the usual intro, and the first question is, so, people say you're selfish. To defense.
I can't say that. I've interviewed the guy before. He's really good.
2-star riders, Sergio Luis Henao. He's not on my 3-star list. I know that Rheinallt does, but he's not on mine. It's so tough when you look at the guys at 3 stars. It's high quality company, and Sergio Luis Henao is yet to prove he's up there for me. I mean, he's a strong rider, he'll go strong, but he's yet to prove himself in the classics. And the 3 guys I have on my 3-star list all have. Michael Albacini, this is the time of the year he goes well. He can finish top 3, he can actually win this race with a bit of luck. He did that in, I think it was 12 or 11. And then Julian Alaphilippe. 3-star riders, Rheinallt, go.
Alejandro Valverde, as Rob Hatch would say. Dan Martin and Sergio Henao.
Do you have him at 3 stars? Or do you have more faith than I do?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Alejandro Valverde, obviously, he's going for the 4th win, the records. He's probably going for the 3rd double, Fleche and Liège. And, you know, for a man to go for the Giro, change his preparation, do a stage race, win 2 stages, win the GC, it's just Mr. Consistent all the way for me, you know what I mean? And I was listening to, reading interviews with him after that race, and my God, does he sound confident. He was so happy to win the stages and the GC. This guy is G'd up for these next 2 races. Watch out for Valverde.
You get points for saying Mr. Consistent. That goes straight into the memory bank there. Now there's a higher chance you're going to come back on later on. David, your 3-star riders.
Same. Valverde, Martin, Henao.
Yeah. Okay, give me just a quick thought process. Other than Valverde, of course.
Martin has consistent form here. He has targeted this race since, about October last season. Fully focused on this one. Amazingly quick kick on the steep stuff. In previous years when he's been beaten here, he seems to have come from a wee bit too far behind. A lack of positioning has maybe cost him. Don't see that being an issue this season. He has a really strong team to help him. Having Alaphilippe as your last man here would be a dream come true for most riders, and he has that. Henao, all I remember is the stage and he flew up. Nobody could get close to him. He gapped Contador and Quintana by about 5 seconds in about 500 metres. I do think it needs to be a little bit steeper for him, but these 3, in my opinion, head and shoulders above everybody else.
Yeah, I almost wish we had 4 stars, so I can put Valverde up at 4 stars and then have the rest below him. But if you look at the statistics, last 5 times Moody Weed's been a Spaniard. That's the reason why Joaquin Rodriguez is up there. If there's a guy who's going to beat Valverde in a straight-up sprint, it's got to be Purito. Dan Martin has the chance, but he really has to be delivered well by Etixx, which will probably happen. But for me, it's a showdown between Joaquin Rodriguez and Alejandro Valverde. I don't think the crash in Amstel Gold Race is going to matter much. Joaquin Rodriguez is here to do one thing, and that's to beat Alejandro Valverde. Can he do it? That's the question, though. My prediction is, because everybody's going to say Valverde. Everybody and their mother is going to say Valverde. So I'm going with Joaquin Rodriguez. David, your choice.
Panda Power, Dan Martin.
Hey, I'm surprised there.
I'll tell you where he goes. He'll go slightly early. He won't wait for the final 100 metres, 200 metres. Etixx will have 2 riders on a really good day, maybe a 3rd rider in there in that very small peloton on the climb. Martin will go with about 400, 500 to go. Valverde and Co will look at each other. Nobody will want to commit. And Panda Power wins.
Rheinallt, who do you think wins?
He did look pretty mean in Catalonia. He was like a sort of rabid dog climbing up that hill. I really hope he does it, but something tells me Mr. Consistent is just going to float up that hill and cross the line first.
On that note, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to tune in to Rheinallt, if you enjoyed his analysis today, and if you live in Wales, tune into his commentary. I'm not sure if you live outside Wales, so you're going to be able to listen to your commentary, which is a shame for most people, I think. Tune in to hear him commentate on Liège-Bastogne-Liège and the Fleche Wallonne. Thank you guys for watching. Next preview is going to be when, David? Friday or Saturday, probably.
Friday or Saturday. Depends on your big special guest star.
Stay tuned for that. Liège-Bastogne-Liège either Friday or Saturday. Thank you guys for watching. See you later.